Okay, here we go. Hi, everybody. If you signed up for FormAssembly's Introducing Multi-Signer e-signature, secure and seamless document signing, then you're in the right place. That's what we're going to be talking to you about today. I'm Skylar Rogers. I'm here in the virtual FormAssembly office, as always, and I got a couple of my colleagues with me. But before I bring them out, I know they can't wait to talk to you, but before they do, I just want to remind people who may be joining us for the first time, or if it's been a while since you joined one of these sessions with us, that a little bit of housekeeping. Here you are in this On24 webinar platform, and they've got a number of kind of tools and buttons sitting around the screen that you can use while we talk to you, or while we put up various pieces of media, demonstrations, slides, and stuff on the screen today. So check out those toolbars if you want to resize or open and close certain windows or tools. Like I said, you can resize that stuff however you want. If you want to be looking more at a speaker or more at some of the media that's on the screen. Um, More importantly, I will always want to call out the Q&A box that you'll see there. That's kind of a direct line to some of us that'll be able to devote some time to questions and answers closer to the end of this. We do get a lot of questions in these, so we'll try our best to answer what we can and keep it relevant to the conversation. If we don't get to yours, we're absolutely happy to follow up with you. Afterwards, we'll have your name and your question there, and we'd love to get to that. One of the questions we always do get, though, that I want to call out right away is that yes, we are recording this. If you can't stay for the whole thing, or only here for part of it, we will send out the recording afterwards. Likewise, we're going to be talking about a lot, moving through a lot in the next few minutes. You might see a demonstration where we're kind of doing click by click sort of actions that are a little faster than you might do in the product yourself. If that's the case, keep in mind that recording is coming. It's a great resource for going back through, picking up some of the points or some of the demonstrations that we show you, and using that on your own time. You may also see some additional resources highlighted. We've got a couple links usually that provide direct access to some of our help documentation that directly relates to some of these features. Feel free to check that out. If not, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but FormAssembly has an amazing sort of help center. So if any of the topics today sound interesting to you and you'd love to dig in more, what is that feature, or how do I access it? What's the kind of click-by-click discussion? Can I, see, some images, possibly some video demonstrations of these features? All of that's tucked away in our help center. We've got people updating that constantly as we, launch new features or bring out additional ones. So shout out to the help center if you haven't used it before. And I'm sure it'll get some more shout outs today. All right, all that said, we're ready to discuss, and I wouldn't be able to go through this without Haley and Tom, who have joined me today to show off this amazing feature. Yeah, Haley, Tom, how are you? How's it going?
Hey everybody, I'm Haley. I'm a product owner here at FormAssembly, and I'm excited to show off our new feature for e-signature.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today to show you the e-signature. Looking forward to demoing that for you after a few words from Skylar and Haley.
Yep, I'm pretty biased, but even having seen this feature in action for a while and a few demonstrations, I never get tired of it. It's one of those things that's amazing that if you think of sort of how forms have evolved, or how a platform like FormAssembly has evolved, the use cases that this opens up, and a lot of things that enables teams. So that said, this is a new feature, so we'd love to kind of give you an introduction of what it is, what we sort of had planned here, what's both visible on the surface, but maybe kind of under the hood with this, right? Tom's going to jump into a demonstration of it after that. Maybe some light bulbs will go off for you, or you'll be able to see exactly where in the product you can access some of the features and functionality that we're going to be talking about today. I want to call out some use cases in case you don't see on screen exactly how your team might use this. I want to call those out, maybe give you some ideas coming out of this webinar of what you can do, how you can take this home with you. And then we'll do a recap and Q&A after that, easy peasy. Before I hand it all the way over, though, I'm curious with this audience, right? Like, this is a relatively new feature. If you've used some e-signature stuff, or maybe you've seen this in the product and haven't quite clicked through yet. So I'm throwing a poll up on the screen now. Have you tried this, new multi signer feature within the FormAssembly product? So curious, yes, maybe you've messed around with it. Maybe you're already an avid user and you want to hear more. or no, not yet. We're just kind of curious how the breakdown goes heading into today. A few seconds there. What do you guys think? We're gonna have more yeses or nos? Haley, Tom?
I'm going to vote yes. I'm going to be optimistic today.
Very optimistic. Okay, I see a ton of votes coming in. So yeah, let's go check it out. Yeah. So no, not yet. So I sort of figured that myself. This isn't something that maybe has jumped out at you in the product yet, or maybe it's an awareness issue. You weren't even aware that FormAssembly had these capabilities sort of built in now. But it is a new feature, and that's why we're doing this, this training, this spotlight today, because we're excited about it. Hopefully, we can pass that on to you. But before we see that demonstration, before we do that, Haley, I want to hand it off to you. Maybe we're going to talk a little bit more about sort of what went into this feature, what you can expect if you use it with your FormAssembly account.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Skylar. Hey, everybody. Again, I'm Haley from the product team, and I'm super excited to talk to you all today about e-signatures and workflow and how that might help streamline your work. It's really cool to see that a few of you have already started exploring this new feature and hopefully getting familiar with it. So what's all the buzz about documents and workflows? A lot of organizations are still dealing with messy, disconnected processes when it comes to managing their data and documents. Without one streamlined system, teams end up pulling data by hand, creating branded documents separately, and then jumping into yet another tool to get those signed. It slows everything down, opens the door for mistakes, makes it harder to keep branding consistent, and it adds unnecessary extra costs and complexity. That's where FormAssembly's document generation comes in. It makes it simple to create professional branded documents without all the manual work. Instead of entering data by hand, it automatically pulls information from form responses into customizable templates, reducing errors and saving time. This does help teams across organizations work more efficiently, whether they're creating invoices, volunteer agreements, onboarding paperwork, or educational materials. With document generation, you can upload your own branded templates in Word or PowerPoint and use an easy mapping tool to drop collected data exactly where it needs to go. As people complete forms in your workflow, that data flows right into your templates in one smooth step. From there, documents can be downloaded, sent through FormAssembly's connectors, or attached to emails in the workflow. You can even track document activity and workflow logs or monitor usage on your licensing page. Of course, what you've all been waiting for is our newest addition to document generation is the e-signature step that supports e-signatures and workflows. You can add signature tags like signature name and initials directly into your templates so that they're ready to sign. Now you can even assign multiple people to sign the same document, which is perfect for contract scenarios where sign-off is needed from different roles or levels within your organization. Each signer will receive an email to sign the document once the previous signer has submitted their document. Of course, security is built in at every step at FormAssembly with a robust audit trail that records everything down to the exact timestamp, from the moment a signer request email is sent to the instant the final signature is completed in a multi-signer scenario. Once all signatures are in, the document is locked and automatically emailed to all parties, ensuring a secure, fully traceable process from start to finish. Signed documents can also be sent through your workflow as email attachments or uploaded to a system of record such as Salesforce using our connectors. I know this is a lot of talk, and I'm sure you're curious to see all this in action. So I'm going to pass it off to Tom to walk you through these features live in the product. So over to you, Tom.
Tom, I know Tom's getting set up. Tom, before you jump in, I was also realizing as I was getting ready for this, right, that yep, you saw a lot of features on the screen there. It's amazing to me, having used it, now talking to our product team and knowing kind of what went under the hood, a lot of the considerations, right, for syncing these signatures with your systems, a lot that kind of goes into not just kind of scribbling a signature on the page, right? So keep some of those features in mind, I would say, everybody else, like as you see this demonstration. I also do want to call out though that, document generation, some of the stuff you're going to see on Tom's screen that sort of flows through, a setup steps, a document being tagged, signatures being added to that. It's kind of this workflow you're going to see on his screen. If you're new to FormAssembly, or you're on one of our kind of legacy plans, or you don't have a teens or above plan, some of the functionality that you're going to see him working in is what's called our workflows area. So if you see something pop up and you're like, wait a minute, that looks a little bit different than my setup, just know that this is an account that has a teens or above plan and is accessing that workflows area. So just wanted to set that context before we jump in. But I'm not the demonstrator. Tom is. Sorry, man.
Thank you, Skylar. Yeah, no problem. So let me just share the right screen. Okay, cool. I know there's a slight delay, but I can see that coming through now. All right, so yes, welcome once again. I'm going to take you through how you're going to use this e-signature step within the workflow paired with document generation. It will allow you to get those signatures on those customized documents, as Haley mentioned, and open up a lot more use cases that previously maybe you couldn't do, but now you can do. So as mentioned by Skylar, you'll find this within the workflow builder. So here in the product, you can see I'm in my workflow list and I have a workflow already made. So I'm going to go to edit, and this is our workflow builder. So this is a demonstration. Obviously, I'm basing it on a use case just as a demo. You can obviously extend this to your use case, make it more customizable to what you need to do. But to make it short for this demo, we've gone for a scholarship award form. So this would be an internal process where somebody is filling in the information quickly because you want to send a document to the student to sign and the financial rep in the school. You need 2 signatures, or maybe you only need 1. So we're going to cover both, because if it's a renewal, you're going to get just the student signature to agree for this year. And if it's a brand new agreement, it's going to be both the financial rep or school rep and the student themselves. So this workflow will start off with a form. So I've built a form, which I might have open here. So I've got a form here that I'm expecting the information to go into. This again could be pre-filled from Salesforce or any other way that we offer. And I'm going to be using default values here, but we're going to enter the information and we want to generate that document, merge the information into the document and send it out for a signature. So that's the first step of my workflow. I then have my thank you page, so to let me know, yep, that's gone through. I then have a conditional, and that's because in a workflow you can conditionally send people down different paths depending on what they've done earlier on in the journey. In this case, I've got the conditional because if I choose it's a new agreement, I'm going to go down the left and I have a template made for 2 signatures. And if it's a renewal, it only needs 1, and therefore again I have a template that's set up for 1 signature only, and that goes down the right-hand side. So we'll focus on the 2 signature. Just be aware you can have just 1 signature, but we're going to cover multi-signatures here. This is where we start the process of setting up the e-signature. So we have our document generation step. You'll add this in by hitting the plus button and choosing your document generation step. Once that's in place, you'll upload your template and then you'll start configuring it within this step. That is one prerequisite that you'll need to do, is you will need to get your template ready in a Word format or PowerPoint format in order to upload it into the step here. I'll show you how that's going to be done, and I have my example here. So this is the document that I'm looking to generate. And we use something called tags, and it has a syntax very similar to other merge type tools you may have seen previously, where it's a double curly brace at the beginning and a double curly brace at the end, and then the name of the merge field you're looking to put in there. So if I just zoom this in so you can see it a bit better. So you can see here I'm looking to enter information like the school name, date, ID, etc. We're going to merge all that into the document based on what's put into the form. And then down here we have the signatures. So where I'm looking to put a signature, I have a signature for the finance rep and a signature for the student. Now the word signature is a reserved word. So in the document generation, you can add whatever tag names you want. The signature, anywhere you put the signature word, is going to expect a signature in the e-signature step. And we do have documentation for this and on what tags are reserved. So you can see we have signature. We can add a couple more fields like title, name, date, and initials, each one relating to the individual signer. But for now, we've got just 2 in this document, which I've mentioned. We've got here at the bottom for student and here in the middle for finance rep. So now that I have my template ready in a Word format, I can come to my workflow and I upload it to my document generation step. What the software does is find those tags, So you can see here it's found school name, issue date, and all the others. And I can now do my mapping one-to-one, either field values, formulas, variables. So if I've done a pre-field connector previously and looked up information from Salesforce, I can save it to a variable and then just merge that into the field without needing to put that on the form at all. So I've got a couple of things going on here that I'm filling in from the form. And then what you'll do is after that is you'll notice at the top, we've detected signature tags. So it knows that you had a signature tag in there, that reserved word, and so it's expecting an e-signature step. So it's letting you know to add that step after. So that's what you'll do. You'll add a new step, you'll choose e-signature from the drop-down list, and that will present you this box here. From here, you're going to choose a document you want to sign because you may have various documents being generated throughout the workflow journey. You'll then assign the signer to each individual signature step. So here we had 2 signatures that were expected, so I'm going to assign 2 different people. This can be a static email address, or it can be a field value, or again, a variable. So if you're pulling the email address from an account owner or something from Salesforce, you could use that here so then you know it's going to the right person. Lastly, you can customize currently the sender name and sender email address, and I believe some further advancements are coming to that, which we'll cover later on. In this workflow as well, just to show the strength of workflow, we're also going to send that record back to Salesforce and attach the generated document with the signature on it. And we can also send that to Google Drive, one of our storage connectors. So I'll do both of those. This path on the right is exactly the same, but only requiring 1 signature. Again, showing you that you can have flexibility on what needs to happen during this journey. So now we'll take a look at how it looks from the end user. So here I have my Bart Simpson record. You can see I've got no files currently attached to that record. And we're going to send him out a scholarship granted letter. So here we would expect someone to come into the workflow. And is this a renewal or new? So we're going to go for new because we want 2 signatures on this demonstration. If I chose renewal, it would go down that one path that I showed earlier. So we're going to do new. I've put a couple of conditionals on here just to make the person know, this is going to be signed by both parties involved. We've got the student's name, their information, how much it's for and when. So that gets filled in, and then we'll submit. That now shows me the thank you page, again, as I defined it in the workflow. That's what comes next. And the conditional is going to now come down this way as I chose new. In the background, the offer letter has been made and merged and sent out for signature. So if I come into here, you'll see that I've received the email to the finance rep. I'll open this link, which will take me to the document, which will be the document with the merged fields. So you'll see all the information has been merged where I need it to be. And I can sign off where I've specified the signature should be. So I put my signature and I complete my step. This will now move on to the second signature, which is needed from the student, in this case, Bartholomew. So that's done. I received that second email, so this is the student email. I can then look at the agreement and check that everything lines up based on what I need to maintain. Good, that looks all good to me. I'm going to also put my signature on there. I've also got the additional date field. And then once done, again, I can finish that off. So now we've got a highly customized document with signatures where they need to be, and all buttoned up in a PDF that can be sent to any of our storage connectors and Salesforce. So if we return to the Bart Simpson record and refresh this, you'll see we do have the file that's now attached. We can open that up and see that it's all buttoned up with the signatures and the merged fields. So you can see here, everything is exactly how we wanted it to be. Likewise, a copy of this would have been sent to this folder as I specified it to go there. You can see the time came through, same thing. It's been signed, and that's now sitting on my Google Drive, saving space on Salesforce storage. So that is pretty much it in a nutshell from a high level. Obviously, this can get a lot more advanced when it comes to the sort of processes you're looking to automate. You can have your buttons in Salesforce that could open the workflow, fill in the information to then submit back to the record, generate the letters, send out the signatures to who it needs to go to. And it's not limited to 2 signatures nor 1, it's multiple, can keep going depending on how many parties are involved, and you can build this around in your workflow. So I hope that was helpful and not too quick for most, but I shall send this back to the rest of the crew.
Thanks for switching it back, Tom. So, like we said, a quick demonstration there. I hope you saw some of that, breakdown within FormAssembly. It might be new to some of you, like seeing something broken down in that logical workflow, right? Like incorporating your forms, incorporating some of those workflow steps. Those are things that a lot of teams used to have to do manually or pull in kind of additional services, right? To get a form one place, get it sent to another person, gather that signature, get it sort of sent somewhere else, have it sort of sync in various places with your system, right? But you can see with that workflow logic, it's kind of set it and get it done, right? Like that's some of the great feedback I saw when this feature was going through, beta testing, and now that we've launched it as well. Like the number of kind of manual steps or additional services or additional hands that were sort of on the process that suddenly get kind of pulled into one place with that workflow logic. I don't know, put a smile on my face, seems to put a smile on our early testers and early users' face. Hopefully you're getting some ideas for how you could use it as well. But if not, I know we highlighted this this scholarship use case, right? But you saw how the steps might be used in some forms that your team is using or thinking about using, right? So scholarships aren't necessarily where your industry is or what your team's sort of working with, right? Like how could you, or how are a lot of our teams that we work with incorporating multi-signatures today? But yeah, think about those multi-signature contracts that are happening between you, clients, or you and additional sort of partners. Grant applications are a big one that we see sort of all the time, right? Like big sort of multi-step processes happening there, both with the form and where that information is sent, how it's sort of authorized, made official, and then where it's stored afterwards, right? Partner or employee agreements is one I put up here. Think of how many times you've had to sign, been the new employee yourself that sort of had to sign an agreement to sort of, join the team or accept some terms. And likewise with partnerships you might be working with, especially on smaller teams. Sometimes it's not always easy to sort of set up, or you got to pull in, additional people, additional resources to get that sort of set in stone, get everything rubber stamped, right? Maybe we have some legal people on the call, but maybe not. But if not, some of these acronyms may look familiar, those LOIs, those NDAs, those MOUs. If you're not signing and working with those daily, I kind of challenge you to go to other parts of your team organization and say, hey, are we using these from time to time? Because if so, you could be kind of that internal hero to say, like, yeah, the FormAssembly, which we were already using, supports this multi-signer step now. So we might be able to integrate this with our existing forms that we already have there, get it incorporated into our processes, maybe automate some of this stuff, but also just have like a really clean audit trail of all of this and have it stored in appropriate places for everybody, instead of, again, having multiple disparate touch points, multiple disparate services needing to be involved. Kind of makes FormAssembly sort of a one-stop shop for a lot of these example use cases. So hope that gets the wheels turning for some people. A lot of use cases that we weren't able to like even sort of touch on today that hopefully you're thinking about or may come up in the near future, that you could bring this feature, bring this functionality into for yourself. That said, I do know that we had the Q&A section sort of lighting up while we're talking about all this, so we can try to start working those in. I've got Haley and Tom here. Wanted to try to get to as many questions as we can going on. So if y'all are ready, I saw one coming pretty early on. Let's see, I think it was Courtney, who has been setting this up, been working with FormAssembly, thinking about customizing that subject line. So in the multi-signature signup, you saw that we tagged it for multiple signatures. The appropriate person that needed to sign it was getting notified. So when that actually hits their inbox, right, like, are you able to customize that subject line? That would be very useful for her team. Haley, I've actually never messed with this before. I don't know if you have more to sort of add to that question, or if that's possible.
Yeah. So right now we do not have the ability to do that. But the good news is that we've received a lot of feedback about that, being able to customize those emails and use aliases even in the subject and the body, if to use like form fields in the subject, for example. So yes, that is coming. We've prioritized that on our roadmap. That'll be coming within the next few months. So that will be coming soon.
Love it. Seems like a great sort of fast follow to this feature, right? So the functionality is already baked in, like we said, to notify the needed parties, but now a little bit more customization coming to that feature really soon. So feel free to follow back up with us in the near future if you want to ask more about that, or stay tuned, I would say. Maybe a clarification question here. Shay is asking, seeing that demonstration, can you get multiple signatures on a form without using DocGen, without using some of the setup that you showed off today, Tom?
I can take that one. That is actually another improvement that we'll be making coming soon. We started off this feature with building it off of DocGen. So there was a merged document from DocGen and then applying an e-signature to it. But we do have plans to kind of separate e-signature on its own and provide the ability to upload a document just to e-signature with signature tags. That does not require merging other data. And yes, that could be a single or multiple signatures on that uploaded document. So that also is coming. Awesome.
Yeah. These questions, and again, some of the early, very early uses of this, really pointing out again some of these fast follow features that, real world experience is showing us, kind of allow us to sort of tweak some of these features of functionality. So sounds great. I'm glad that's already on the roadmap. Seems like we're already catching a lot of stuff. Kristen, I saw, was asking, does that completed document have to be sent to everyone once it's completed? They're like to download and upload some of their completed or finalized documents in a portal so that they make sure that they're funneling people there sort of to where it's stored. I don't know if this is a straightforward one.
That's a good question. Right now, there is no way to turn that off. We do just send, once all parties have completed the signature, we do just send it out, making sure everyone has a copy of the final completed document with all signatures. That's default, and it's not configurable, but we do, like we mentioned, have the ability to configure email workflow steps or connectors where you can send that signed document wherever you need it to go, system of record, and then the workflow will lead them to that next step to lead them into where they need to go. So, send that document where it needs to go. So unfortunately, no way to lead them to the portal, but to your portal. However, you can configure email and connector steps after the signed completed document is created.
Yeah, you might have heard Tom mention that as well, right? Like not just running all the signature steps through that FormAssembly workflow and emails, right? He had those connectors set up so that, yeah, once this is completed, it's being stored kind of in the right place, associated in that system of record. So when I've seen a lot of demonstrations of this, I think of the like email confirmations, almost as that kind of, helpful paper trail or something helpful to refer to if needed. But yeah, definitely sort of built in mind with using that connector, getting the final document, into that final sort of portal. You can reference it there. It's sitting there so the company can access it sort of from then on. So you're kind of getting both right now. Hopefully that helps kind of clarify.
Yeah, and Skylar, I just want to take this a little bit off-piste or maybe back on-piste. I forgot to show the audit trail. So as mentioned, everybody that's involved in the signing process gets sent an email to let them know it's been signed, sealed, delivered type thing. And it includes the audit log. So I'll quickly show my screen again because I think that's an important part that people will require. So let me just bring this back and then we'll get back to those Q&As and we'll fit what we can in.
Bonus demonstration, love it.
Okay, cool. So this is the email that comes through. Everyone, as mentioned, involved within the signing process gets a copy for their own, reference. And you have this access completed document audit log. When you click that, it opens up the audit log, as mentioned. So it shows you who signed at what time, etc. The stuff you normally expect from a signature process between people. And from here, they can download their document and view it as well when they need. So I just wanted to pull that back in because I did miss that, and it's quite a vital point. So in case there could be a floating question as well about that. Well, there it is. Hopefully it answers your questions.
Yep, there we go. And we mentioned at the top too, the icons you saw while Haley was talking, like that, we call it the kind of robust sort of audit trail. Yeah, we don't, want these steps to sort of get, lost in the shuffle or just kind of fire off once and forget about them. So a lot of steps taken to make sure people are being notified at the right time, but also, the group or all parties involved, kind of know when this has been completed as well as the systems and the logs that you'll see within FormAssembly itself. William was asking, I guess during the demonstration, are these features included in Teams and Above plans, or is there an additional purchase that they need to make? Like some of our payment connectors or some of our other connectors, there's a little bit of a setup charge for those sorts of additions on FormAssembly. But is this one just automatically included in Teams and Above?
So document generation is available for Teams and Above, but you basically purchase buckets or SKUs based off of the number of documents that you'll use. We have different options for document usage and document merges. However, e-signatures are unlimited, and those are included in Teams and Above. So right now, like we had said, you do need to use document generation to use e-signature, but in the future, e-signature is standalone, and that is not specifically charged by itself. Only document generation is.
Yep. So yep, you'll find, if you're on a Teams or Above plan right now, you'll find access to that in your FormAssembly setup now. If not, or you're not quite sure where to get started, or what couple buttons to click to access it. Another shout out to the resource section that you might see, here in the webinar today, or the helpful link I always have tip of my fingertips is help.formassembly.com. It'll take you right to the portal where we go in depth pretty much in any feature or complex functionality that we might be able to offer, and from there, pretty great search function within it. If you saw Tom using some of those signature tags, just type in the words signature tags. If you're curious more about document generation, type in document generation. That'll get you right to kind of an overview of the feature, but also right into those kind of more specific and sometimes even click-by-click walkthroughs or technical documentation of how to do this. So I'd say that help.formassembly.com combined with maybe the recording of the demonstration that we're doing today and the discussion we're having today, excellent resources for kind of going back and getting started with this. This was a good question. I actually haven't thought about it in my own uses, but I think it was Courtney was asking, is there a way to have a date calculated on the document once it's signed? I guess, we'd want to amend or add what's the date that, this is being sent out perhaps, or that the document was created.
Yeah, good question. Currently, there's no way to automatically append a date after signature, but we do support tags basically that you can include on your document. So in addition to signature, initials, name, etc., you could put a signature date tag on your document, and the signer will see all the fields required for them to fill out, including date, and it would just be, they would have to just type in the date to submit the form, or sorry, to submit the document after they sign. So that is a way to get a date on the document. We don't automatically generate it though at the current time, but that's great feedback.
And Courtney, I would say if it helps for just a basic sort of use case, just remember that document Tom had set up where he was adding those signature tags to, you obviously have, kind of full control over what goes into that template for you. So the sort of pre-baked, text on it, the way you want it to look and stuff like that. So if you want to put the current date as it's being sort of sent out, you can do that just, kind of in the Word editor itself. But yeah, in terms of sort of dynamic date additions, sounds like stay tuned. Okay. Let's see. I lost my place. Scanning. This is one I wasn't sure if maybe Tom you've run into something like this, but and perhaps if it's not related, we'll find that out. But William's asking during that demonstration, can you merge tables of data like products off an opportunity or child records from a custom object et cetera. Maybe this is getting a little bit fancy with some of those tags. Maybe that is sort of that question.
Yeah, that's more related to the document generation sort of feature on its own. We do support loop tags, which means you can loop the content based on how many times it's been repeated on the form. So if you were pre-filling a repeatable section with some information from records from your Salesforce, that will obviously repeat, let's say 5 times because it found 5 records. In your document generation, whatever you've put between the loop tags will also be repeated 5 times. So there are other webinars we've done where it's an invoice use case, they've entered, whatever they've purchased, and then on the invoice it had those line items. So there are ways to do that. So in document generation, there are loop tags to support that repeated content, and there are if tags, meaning show the information on the document or not based on the criteria you set.
Interesting. Got it. I saw a good one. This might have come up. Can you have more than 2 signatures, right? So we've gone from simple e-signature in the past. Today you saw multi-signature, but hopefully it was pretty clear from the demonstration that yes, we can tag this with more than just 2 signers, right? So definitely larger parties involved in some of these agreements. So get those signatures for sure. Is there a decline option that could be used as a conditional or something? I don't know that I've run into this. Obviously, if kind of someone hasn't signed, they just sort of haven't participated to date. I don't think this functionality exists, Haley. Yeah.
That one's a great question. That is something that we did not include in our first iteration, but we are planning to include this. Yeah, the ability for a signer to decline signature and then it'll move on to the next signer. That will be coming, but not there today.
Okay. Might be related. Can you use workflow for multiple signers when you don't know who the second or third signer is? For example, a student needs to provide one of their parents for signature.
Actually, this question. So sorry. So if you can basically make sure that the assigned signer is the one who signs the document. I think is this question. Mm-hmm. With e-signature step itself, you can, when you have multiple signature tags, unique tags on a document, those basically you have 2 areas to assign a signer to, right? You can do a static email address. You can use an email entered in the form. So those are separate assignees. So if you know if you had, like, for example, in the form you had an email for your parent and an email for your child, you would assign each of those to each person, and then once the signature request email goes out and they open the document, whoever the person assigns to that set of signature that signature tag can only sign there or their associated tags. They only can sign those and cannot action the signature for the next person. So that's a way you could manage it in the e-signature step itself. You basically can assign them to each person and they can only sign their own. Hopefully that helps answer that question.
Got it. Maybe someone was inspired by us kind of mentioning, sure, you can use more than 2. Someone's asking, is there an upper limit to the number of signatures that we could add? Maybe someone has a really big use case in mind here. Do we know of any limits on those?
We currently don't have limits, no, on number of signatures.
You just have a very interesting looking workflow there, I would think.
Might take a while, but we don't limit it now.
Let's see. I keep losing my place. I'm sorry, gang. Can we edit the email address of the signatory after the document is sent, or should we just kind of send or cancel the request and send it out again if something like that happens?
Once the e-signature step is configured and the process has started, then those emails can't be changed. It'll just send out to what was configured before. So that's just for a similar response. Obviously, if you wanted to edit the emails for responses going forward, you can. But if it's already been sent out, there's no way to take those back.
Okay. Tom or Haley, this is an interesting one for me. When trying to do this yourself, we got a question, I think, from William. Will that flow merge hidden fields from the form, or do the fields all need to be exposed? If you've seen that or worked with that in your some of your setups or customer setups.
I can answer that one. You can use any fields that you please. So it doesn't have to be exposed. As mentioned earlier as well, workflow, some of the newer connectors and these sort of steps here support variables, meaning you can store the information in a variable that you name. I could call it first name and I can pull that in. That's not actually shown on the form anywhere, but you can still use that in your document generation mapping. So there's no limit for that.
Got it. I know we're coming right up on it. Let's see, another one sort of agreeing that, the feature we mentioned that's sort of coming as a fast, like the ability to, again, great feedback of the ability to, toggle on or off that email verification when that goes out. Right now, you're getting both email verification that someone has signed and any connector steps to a system of record. So right now it's both. But yeah, thanks for some of the comments that sometimes you want kind of one or the other. We're working on that. In case this one wasn't clear, do you have to have workflow to use e-signature, to use some of the setup that we saw today? We want to make sure we clarified that one.
Yes. So what you're seeing, what Tom showed with document steps and e-signature steps is are workflow only features.
Mm-hmm. And workflow, again, being on the kind of teams or above. So if you're more than just a solo act, that teams and above plans are really designed, to automate some of these processes, give you stuff like workflows, some of the more complex features within FormAssembly. If you're on a legacy plan or haven't checked out the teams and above options in a bit, you might see a link in the resources talking about how to talk to an account manager, look at some of those upgrade options. But we've definitely been cooking quite a bit in the last year or so, kind of adding to all the plans, but definitely teams and above getting a lot of functionality to help multiple people work together. So it's been a while since you checked out that functionality. I absolutely would talk to us about it. Sarah's asking, can we edit the e-signature fields? Can we just have a signature field and not a name as part of the signature? We're currently using built-in e-signature where both signature and names are needed. I don't know if that's related to kind of the fields that we bake into our generated document or some of the tags there. Tom or Haley?
Yeah, so you basically choose when you're uploading your template and adding tags to that template, you're choosing what data you want there. So if you're only looking for a signature in your e-signature step, then you could upload a document with just that signature tag, not a signature name or signer name, sorry, just a signature, and it'll only ask your signer for a signature. So you don't need to put other. It basically is up to you how many signer tags you want to include, but you don't need to.
Got it.
And I can extend on that briefly. In comparison to the form level e-signature that requires a name, an email address, and a signature, this is obviously a separate signature step. This is just a signature where the email gets sent, they'll click on that to then do their e-signature. So that's part of the verification as well. So there's somebody mentioned, do you still need to do the email validation or whatever? Well, them going to their email to click and sign a document encompasses all that in one. So there's no additional step after they've signed, it's done.
Nice. only got time for a couple more. There's a couple here that I really would love to clarify for people, though. This is really good. It didn't occur to me to call out as you were demonstrating, Tom, but does everyone need to have form assembly to be included in one of these workflows? So if we're requesting signatures from people, do they also need a form assembly setup, right, to be able to kind of add their signature and move on in the process?
No, so they don't need to be a form assembly user. This is designed for respondents. So you're obtaining your data via your workflows and you're obtaining your signatures on your documents. There's no login needed for people to come and sign those documents that you're looking to have signed. You only need to have a user to be able to create these flows in form assembly.
There you go. Yeah, hopefully that's a useful clarification there. That would severely kind of restrict it if not, but definitely had that use case in mind, I think, from the beginning. This is an interesting one. I saw where, the date or people are adding kind of, scribble signatures and stuff to a document, but there's a way to add a comment section. Maybe the signer or someone else wants to be able to add, kind of comments or additional context to their signature. Is that something that's kind of an existing workaround, or is it enabled by some part of this feature?
We don't currently support just open comments. Not at the moment, no, but that's feedback that we can take back.
No.
You can have the respondent comment in forms, like in a text field in the form, but in terms of e-signature, there's no specific comment text area for a signature, no.
Yep. Love it. Calling out all kinds of additional use cases here. I did kind of bleed over a few minutes there. We really got lit up with questions on this one. I hope that means the wheels are turning. People are thinking about existing signatures that they have in their day-to-day processes and workflows, or new inspiration for maybe trying this out again. I will say that we have kind of captured the chat. We have captured the Q&A here. If we didn't get to cover something today, we're absolutely happy to reach out afterwards. So be on the lookout for the recording of this, so you can see that demonstration again, maybe hear some parts of this conversation again if you want, as well as like if you've got a specific account related question, we'd be happy to follow up with that when we see it and have more time. But that said, just before the screen goes blank on me, I know that you did see some functionality today. If you're new to Form Assembly and haven't kind of been in the product very much, or you've got maybe one of those kind of legacy plans and you saw some new and updated functionality that's on like a Teams or above plan. If you're interested in that, you want to see a more in-depth demonstration, maybe ask us some specific questions related to your use cases. I got this quick demo on the screen. This is a real quick shortcut to getting in touch with the right people. So if you don't have Form Assembly yet, you want to see a demo, let us know there. If you've got Form Assembly and are maybe thinking about getting an add-on to your account or something, let us know there as well. Again, we'll record all these questions and chat and any requests for additional follow-ups, and we'll be able to follow up with those right afterwards. I love that we get to do this pretty much every month. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. I hope these are informative. We love that we get to cover something really quick, but one more shout out to that help.formassembly.com section, where if you're curious about any of the topics we covered today and you want to see kind of more technical recording or step-by-step instruction for them, be sure to hit that up. We make that available and we update it regularly for you. So hopefully it's a great resource for you. Tom, Haley, anything else you want to say before we close out?
Yeah, I actually want to just kind of jump in here. I'm seeing in the chat a lot of chatter about the email verification. So I don't want to ignore that question. It's something that we've received a lot of feedback on with the launch of e-signature, which I think I saw a question somewhere. Is this live? This is live today in Teams and above plans. So just to answer that question. But going back to the email verification. So currently signatures do require to go through email as users are assigned for signature to have the legally binding component of our system. That's kind of the reasoning behind it. We are looking into a more lightweight version of capturing acknowledgements to incorporate in the future in our product, kind of aside from this feature, just because there's been so much feedback about that. So just kind of gives you guys some background and we're not ignoring that. We have received a lot of feedback. So just to kind of call that out. And thank you for the additional feedback on that.
Yeah, yeah, super interesting. I didn't, I myself wouldn't have thought about the kind of legal compliance that sort of we had to think for this to, comply, especially with some of those U.S. laws, for sure. Yep, think great context there. Otherwise, Haley, Tom, thank you all so much for coming on today. This is a pretty action-packed feature, opens up a lot of possibilities for people. So I really appreciate your time introducing it to us and giving us a quick demo.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time. Really appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks.